guys, welcome back to our channel Study with Apsara. So today we'll be discussing Discovering Tut, the saga continues, written by A.R. Williams. Before we move on to the chapter, make sure to like, share and subscribe. Also share your thoughts in the comment section. So let's begin. He was just a teenager when he died, the last heir of a powerful family that had ruled Egypt and its empire for centuries. He was laid to rest, laden with gold and eventually forgotten. Since the discovery of his tomb in 1922, the modern world had speculated about what happened to him, with murder being the most extreme possibility. Now, leaving his tomb for the first time in almost 8 years, Tut has undergone a CT scan that offers new views about his life and death and provides a precise data for an accurate forensic reconstruction of the boyish pharaoh. So here they are saying Tut has died at a young age and he was the heir of a powerful family. The family was a ruler of Egypt and its empire. Family had ruled it since many centuries. During his cremation, many ornaments of gold were put on him. Finally, after many days, nobody remembered him. And his tomb was discovered in 1922. And the modern world is trying to guess what could have caused his death. It is definitely that murder is most unlikely cause of his death. Name of the person buried under the tomb is Tut. And after 80 years from taking out the corpse of Tut from his tomb, CT scan has been done. This may give some more information or hints about life and cause of his death. This may provide accurate data about events that caused the death of the boy king of Egypt. Now moving on. An angry wind stirred up ghostly dust evils as King Tut was taken away from his resting place in the ancient Egyptian cemetery, known as the Valley of the Kings. Dark-bellied clouds had skirted across the desert sky all day and now were reeling the stars in a cascade grey. It was 6 p.m. on 5th January 2005. The world's most famous mummy glided headfirst into a CT scan brought here to probe the lingering medical mysteries of this little understood young ruler who died more than 3,300 years ago. All afternoon, the usual line of tourists from the world had descended into the cramped, rock cut tomb some 26 feet underground to pay their respect. They gazed at the on the walls of the burial chamber and peered at the Tut's glided face, most striking feature of his mummy shaped outer coffin lid. Some visitors read from the guide's book in a whisper. Others stood silently, perhaps pondering Tut's untimely death in his late teens, or wondering with a shiver if the Paraha's curse, death, or misfortune falling upon those who disturbed him was really true. Here, a strong wind started. Explanation. A strong wind started a dangerous storm full of dust. This happened while the corpse of the king Tut was taken out from the tomb. Here only kings of Egypt were cremated. The place was known as Valley of Kings. Clouds appear black from the earth. During the whole day, they were moving quickly in the sky of the desert. Now it was 6 p.m. on 5th January 2005. Clouds had hidden the stars. Color of the sky was light grey. And the most famous mummy of the world was put into CT scanner machine. Head of the mummy was put first. The mummy was brought to investigate the secrets yet to be discovered about this young ruler. The ruler had died more than 3,300 years ago. And during this afternoon, as usual, tourists from all over the world had gathered around the tomb. Tomb is very narrow and it is made up by cutting a rock. It is 26 feet below the ground. All the tourists have come here to pay their respect to the young king. And the tourists stared at the painting made at the wall where Tut was buried, carefully looked at the golden color face of Tut. His most noticeable aspect visible from the lid of the coffin. coffin was shaped like a mummy, and some visitors were reading the guidebook in a low voice, others were standing silently as if thinking carefully about the unexpected death of Tut during his teenage. They were also thinking with a fear if the curse associated with the mummy was really true. It was believed that anybody who disturbed the Pharaoh would either have bad luck or either die. Moving on, the mummy is in very bad condition because of what Carter did in 1920, said Zahi Hawass, Secretary of Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities, as he leaned over the body for a long first look. Carter, Howard Carter, that is, was the British archaeologist who in 1920 discovered that tomb after years of fertile searching. Its content, though hastily ransacked in antiquity, was surprisingly complete. They remain the richest royal collection ever found and have become the part of the Pharaoh's legend. Stunning artifacts in gold and in their eternal brilliance meant to guarantee resurrection caused a sensation at the time of the discovery and still get the most attention. But Tut was also buried within everyday things and he wanted in the afterlife. Board games, a bronze laser, linen undergarments, cases of food and wine. After months of carefully recording the Pharaoh's funerary treasures, Carter began investigating his three nested coffins. Opening the first, he found shrouded adorned with garlands of willow and olive leaves, wild clary, lotus petals, and cornflowers, with the faded evidence of burial in March or April. When he finally reached the mummy, though he ran into trouble, the ritual resins had hardened, cementing Tut to the bottom of his solid gold coffin. No amount of legitimate force could have moved them. Carter wrote later, "What was to be done? The sun can beat down like a hammer this far south in Egypt, and Carter tried to use it to loosen the resins." So here, Zahi Hawassa was a high-level officer of the department that took care of old monuments in Egypt. He was the first person among the visitors to bend and look carefully at the mummy. He looked at for a long time and discovered that the condition of the mummy had is bad because it was damaged by Carter to look after in 1920s. Full name of Carter was Howard Carter. He was a British archaeologist. He had discovered tomb of the Tut after years of unsuccessful searching. The content of the mummy was damaged because actions taken without much thinking. But all the content of the mummy were available and nothing had been taken away. Contents of the mummy are the richest contents of the royal family ever found. They are the part of the tradition of Pharaoh. And extraordinary ornaments of gold, everlasting beauties, were placed in the mummy. It was believed that these ornaments would guarantee that someday Pharaoh would be alive again. When the tomb was discovered, the belief caused a lot of interest and excitement. Even today, a lot of attention is paid to its belief. And Tut was buried almost everything he might need during his life after death. Board games, bronze razor, undergarments, and boxes full of food and wine were placed in his grave. Crater carefully made a record of every valuable item found in the tomb of Pharaoh. It took many months to complete this task. After that, he started investigating three coffins which were placed within another coffin. In the first coffin there was second coffin, and in the second coffin there was third coffin. When Carter opened the first coffin, he found a cloth spread inside it. The cloth was decorated with garlands made up of leaves and flowers. It was an unclear evidence that the burial had taken place in March or April. This was inferred because those flowers were made available only during that time of the year. After opening another nested coffin, he reached the mummy and he now faced a problem. The customary gum used in the coffin had become hard. Tut's mummy was sticking to the bottom of the coffin, made in solid gold. He tried to forcefully move the mummy from the coffin. He used accepted and corrected methods to remove the mummy so that neither the coffin or mummy is damaged. He did not know what should be done. The sun is very hot in southern part of Japan, and Carter tried to use heat of the sun to melt the resin. For several hours he kept the mummy in a hot sunshine. He set the mummy, now let's move to the lesson. He set the mummy outside in a blazing sunshine that heated it to 149 degree Fahrenheit. Nothing budged. He reported with a scientific detachment that the consolidated material had to be chiseled away from beneath the limbs and trunk before it was possible to raise the king's remains. In his defense, Carter really had a little choice. If he had cut the mummy's free, thieves most certainly would have circumvented the guards and ripped it apart to remove the gold. In that time, the royals were fabulously wealthy, and they had thought or hoped that they would take the riches with them. For his journey to the great beyond, King Tut was lavished with glittering goods, precious collar, inland necklace and bracelets, rings, amulets, ceremonial aprons, sandals, sheaths for his finger, toes, and now iconic inner coffin and mask, all of pure gold. To separate Tut from his adornments, Carter's men removed the mummy's head and several nearly every major joint. Once they had finished, they reassembled the remains on the layer of the sand in the wooden box with a padding that concealed the damage, the bed where Tut was now resting. So here, for many hours, he kept the mummy in a hot sunshine. Sunshine heated the mummy to 149 degree Fahrenheit. It is equal to 65 degrees Celsius. But nothing happened to resin. It did not melt. He wrote the solidified resin he had to be broken using a chisel. This method was not scientific method. He wrote that breaking of the resin from below the arms of legs and body of mummy was necessary. It was required to remove the mummy of the king from the coffin. Carter justified his action by saying that no other option was available at that time. If he had not cut the mummy to remove it from the coffin, thieves would have broken the mummy to remove the gold. Thieves would have found some method to dodge the guard and put there to protect the mummy. And during the times of Tut, people of the royal family were extremely rich, and they thought also hoped that they would be able to take their wealth and treasure with them after death. For life after that, several shining and precious things were placed in the tomb of Tut. These were included as precious collar, inland necklace, bracelet, rings, amulets, and ceremonial apron, sandals, sheath for his finger and toes. Mask was also placed in the very beautiful coffin. All the things were placed in the coffin were made up of gold. To separate the ornaments from Tut, workers of Carter removed the head of the mummy. They also cut almost every major joint of the mummy after removing all the ornaments. Then they once again joined the body. They put a layer of sand in the wooden box, placed the body in it, and they put some packings and cushion to hide the damage caused to the mummy. Presently, the mummy of Tut lies in the wooden box. Archaeology has changed substantially in the intervening decades, focusing less on treasures and more on fascinating details of life, interviewing mysteries of death. It also uses more sophisticated tools, including medical technology. In 1968, more than 40 years after Carter's discovery, an anatomy professor x-rayed the mummy and revealed a startling fact beneath the resin that cakes his chest. His breastbone and front ribs are missing. Today, diagnostic imaging can be done with a computerized tomography or by CT, by which hundreds of X-rays in a cross-section were put together like slices of thread to create three-dimensional virtual body. And what would the CT scan reveal of Tut than the X-ray? And it could answer two of the biggest questions still lingering about him. How did he die? And how old was he when at the time of death? King Tut's demise was a big event, even by royal standards. He was the last of his family's line, and his funeral was a death rattle of dynasty, but particularly of his passing away, it was aftermath and are unclear. Amenhotep III, Tut's father or grandfather, was a powerful pharaoh who ruled for almost 4 decades at the time of his 18th dynasty as dynasty's gold age. His sons Amenhotep IV succeeded him and initiated one of the strangest periods in the history of ancient Egypt. So here archaeology has changed to a great extent between the decades that have passed since then. It does not give much importance to the valuable things. It gives importance to the interesting details of life. It is curious to know the secret reasons for death. Nowadays, archaeology uses advanced and complex methods. This include the technology being used in medical science. The medicinal technology was used after more than 40 years of the discovery made by Carter. A professor of anatomy used X-ray to investigate the mummy. He discovered the shocking fact: mummy was covered by resin and did not have breastbone and front ribs. Nowadays, many investigations are done by taking photos through magnetic waves. Cross-section through a solid can be calculated by computing tomography or CT scan. In this technique, hundreds of X-rays are taken. These photos are then combined to indirectly form a three-dimensional photo of the body. Something was known about Tut through X-ray. What more would we know through the CT scan? Can this answer two biggest questions about Tut? How did he die and what was his age at the time of death? Even within the royal family, death of the Tut was a big event. He was the youngest heir in this family. Death and funeral was starting point of many deaths in his family. Amenhotep III was either father or grandfather of Tut. He was a powerful king and ruled Egypt for almost 4 decades. He was the most powerful king from the 18th century family that ruled in Egypt. His rule is considered to be the best period for his country. Amenhotep IV was son of Amenhotep III. He became king after the death of Amenhotep III. His rule is considered the most unusual period in the history of ancient Egypt. Now, moving on to the lesson. The new pharaoh promoted the worship of Aten. The sun disk changed his name to Akhenaten, or servant of the Aten, and moved the religious capital from the gold city of Thebes to the new city of Ekitaten, known as Amarna. He further shocked the country by attacking Amun, a major god, smashing his image and closing his temples. It must have been a horrific time, said Ray Johnson, the director of the University of Chicago's Research Center in Luxor. It's the site of ancient Thebes family that had ruled for many centuries was coming to an end, and then Akhenaten went a little wacky. After Akhenaten's death, mysterious ruler named Smenkhare appeared briefly and excited with hardly a trace. And then a young Tutankhaten took the Tutankhaten took the throne, King Tut, as widely known as today. The boy soon changed his name to Tutankhamun, leaving image of Amun, and oversaw a restoration of the old way. He reigned for almost about 9 years and then he died unexpectedly. So here the new king of Amenhotep IV started worship of Aten, meaning the sun. He changed his name to Akhenaten, which means the servant of Aten. He shifted his capital from Thebes to Akhenaten. The city is now known as Amarna. And Amenhotep IV gave more surprise to his countrymen when he attacked one of the gold Ammon. He broke idols of Ammon and closed all the temples of his gold. Then Ray Johnson was the director of Research Center of University of Chicago in Luxor. The center was at the location of the ancient town of Thebes. He said that the period must have been a frightful time for the people residing in that country. The family of Amenhotep IV had ruled Egypt for many years, centuries. It appeared to them that the rule of dynasty was about to end. Amenhotep IV started behaving in absurd manner. After death of Amenhotep IV, Smenkhkare became ruler. He is not well known in the history. He died without making any impact on the life of the people after him. A very young person became the king. Today he is popularly known as Tut. After Akhenaten's death, a mysterious ruler named Smenkhkare appeared briefly and exited with hardly a trace, and then very young Tutankhaten took over the throne. The king Tut was widely known as today. The boy king soon changed his name to Tutankhamun, living image of Amun, and oversaw a restoration of the old ways. He resigned for almost 9 years and then died unexpectedly. Regardless of his fame and the speculation about his fate, Tut is one mummy among many in Egypt. How many no one knows. The Egyptian Mummy Project, which began an inventory in the late 2003, has recorded almost 600 so far and is still counting. The next phase is scanning the mummies with a portable CT machine donated by the National Geographic Society and Siemens, its manufacturer. King Tut is one of the first mummies to be scanned in death as in life, moving regally ahead of his countrymen. So here, after the death of Amenhotep IV, Smenkhkare became the ruler. He is not well known in the history but died without making an impact on the life of the people after him. A very young person, Tutankhaten, became the king. Today is popularly known as Tut. So the king who was a boy changed his name to Tutankhamun, meaning his name is incarnation of God Amun, meaning that the god Amun has come to the earth in the form of Tutankhamun. He once again established the previous customs. He ruled for about 9 years. He died unexpectedly. Nobody had imagined that he would die so soon. And in spite of this fame and guesses about his death, the mummy is just one of the many mummies in the Egypt. Nobody knows how many mummies are there in the Egypt. The Egyptian Mummy Project started in 2003. Till now, the project was found to be about 600 mummies, and search for mummies is continuing. It hoped that more mummies may be found. And the next stage or step in the project is scanning of mummies with portable CT machines. These machines have been donated by National Geographic Society and Siemens. The machines are manufactured by Siemens, and the king Tut is one of the first mummies that would be scanned. During this time, Tut was among his countrymen. After the death of he is royally heading of the countrymen for scanning. A CT machine scanned the mummy head to toe, creating 1700 digital X-rays images in cross-section. Tut's head scanned in 0.62 millimeter slices to register its intricate structures, take on eerie detail in the resulting image. With Tut's entire body similarly recorded, a team of specialists in radiology, forensic, and anatomy began to probe the secrets that winged goddess of a glided burial shrine protected for so long. At the night of the scan, workmen carried Tut from the tomb in the box. Like a pallbearers, they climbed up the ramp and in the flight of the stairs into swirling sand outside, then rose on the hydraulic lift into the trail legs that held the scanner. 20 minutes later, two men emerged, sprinted for an office nearby, and returned with a pair of white plastic fans. The $1 million scanner had quit because of sand in a cooler fan. Curse of the Parava, joked the guard nervously. CT scanning machine scanned the mummy of Tut from head to toe. He created an 1700 X-ray images of the body. Tut's head was scanned an interval of very small distance of 0.62 millimeter. These images were recorded very complex details of mummy. Images of scanning of head looked quite strange. Entire body of Tut was scanned in a similar manner. Its images were recorded. Scientists of various fields started investigating about the secrets of the mummy. The burial place was considered a holy place. There was an image of goddess that had wings. Since a very long time it was believed that this goddess was protecting the burial place. And the scanning was done in the night. During that night, workers carried the coffin of Tut from his tomb on their shoulder. They climbed a sloping pathway and then a flight of stairs. They reached the area outside the tomb because of wind. The sand was moving in a circular way. They entered a lift that was being operated through a hydraulic pump. They put the coffin into the trailer and CT scan machine had been mounted on this trailer. After 20 minutes, two men came out of the trailer. They ran towards nearby office. They came with two plastic fans of white color. The very costly scanner had stopped functioning because sand got into a cooler of fan of the scanner. Guard nervously said that the coolest fan stopped functioning because of curse of Parava. Eventually, the substitute fans worked really well to finish the procedure. After checking that no data had been lost, the technicians turned that over to the workman who carried him back to the tomb. Less than 3 hours after he was removed from his coffin, the Parava again rested in peace where a funerary priest had laid him so long ago. Back in the trailer, a technician pulled up astonishing images of the Tut on a computer screen. Grey head took shape from a scattering pixel, and technicians spun and tilted in every direction. The neck vertebrae appeared as clearly as in anatomy class. Other images revealed a hand, several views of the rib cage, and transection of the skull. But for now, pressure was off. Sitting back in the chair, Zahi Hawasa smiled, visibly relieved that nothing had gone seriously wrong. I didn't sleep last night, not for a second. He said, I was so worried. Now I think I will go and sleep. So, finally, the scanning was completed with the help of replacement fans. Technicians checked and confirmed that every data had been collected in the machine. Then the technicians handed over Tut to the workers. They carried Tut back to his tomb. In less than 30 hours, the king was back in his tomb, and it was a place after a funeral. He was placed by the priest very long time ago. In the trailer, a technician made a wonderful image of Tut on the screen of the computer with the help of several dots spread all over the screen. Shape of a head was created. Technicians rotated until the image of head in every direction. The bone of the neck in the image was very clear as a chart would be in the class of the anatomy. The other images were of hand, ribcage, and views inside the skull. Now there was no pressure of work. Zahi Hawasa sat in the chair. His back was touching the back rest of the chair. It was clearly seen that he was now a relaxed person because nothing had gone wrong while scanning. He said that during the previous night he had not slept even a second. He was worried now he wanted to sleep. By the time we left the trailer, descending the metal stairs to the sandy ground, the winds had stopped. The winter air lay cold and still like the death itself in the valley of the departed. Just above the entrance of Tut's tomb stood Orion, the constellation that the ancient Egyptians knew, soul of Osiris, god of afterlife, watching over the boy king. We left the trailer coming by down the metal stairs and stepped onto the ground that had lot of sand. This time wind had stopped because winter season atmosphere was cold. There was no movement of anything, just like nothing moves after death. Nothing was moving in the valley of death. Author had called it valley of death because All Paroha were buried in the valley. And just above the entrance of the tomb of Tut, image of Orion had been made. According to beliefs of ancient Egypt, Orion is a god of afterlife, and God is watching the boy King Tut. Thank you.